Yasodhanandana Jaya Prajanarandana Jaya Yasodhanandana Jaya Prajanarandana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Kunja Vihare Jaya Radha Mandava Jaya Kunja Vihare Radha Mandava Jaya Radha Mandava Jaya Kunja Vihare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Niveshesha Sunnavadi Praskatya Disatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasade Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Hai. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jai Krishna Balaram. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar, Radha Shama Sundar, Jaya Radhe. Jaya Gurudeva, 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 Jai Gurudeva. Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Gaura ki, Krishna Balaram ki, Radha Shama Sundar ki, Jai Go Premanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Narochaiva Narottama Deve Saraswati Vyasa Tatudaya Modirayet Nashtapaistu Abhadristu Nitya Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavatam Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhakti Naistike Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govinda Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So, I've been given this opportunity by my superior to sit before you, and I kindly request your cooperation. Today we'll be taking the sloka from 26, then 28. So what I'm going to do, I will take 26 and 27, then we can do 28 together. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So this translation for 26. When the chaste lady saw the husband, her eyes filled with tears of love and eagerness. As she had her eyes closed, she solemnly bowed down to him, and in her heart she embraced him. 27. Sudama was amazed to see his wife shining forth in the midst of maidservant adorned with jewel lockets. She looked as effulgent as the sun god, the demigoddess in her celestial aeroplane. Purport. Srila Vishwanatha Chakrabarti Thakur explained that up to now, Supreme Lord had kept the Brahmana in his wretched state so that his wife could recognize him. Then 28, which we will do together. Pitha swayam tara yukta pravishtu nija mandirham manistam hasatu pritam Mahindra Bhavan Yakta. Please somebody go ahead. Prita Pravishto Ninda Mandiram Manistamba Sapi Pitam Mahindra Bhavanam Yataha Pitaham Swayata Yuktaha Visto Nindamandiram Manistamba Sopitam Mahindra Bhavanam Yataha Ahita Swayam Yutaha Mahito Yudamandiram Mahishto Satyayutam Mahindra Nyavayam Yatam Ahita Swayam Sayukta Anishto Sakshavishtam Mahindra Prita Swayasaya Yuktaha Arishto Nijamandiram Anishto Mahindra Mataji, please. Abhito swayam yukta Vishnu Vita swayam yukta Vishnu yudamanjam Vishnu standam Pritaha, pleased, Swayam, himself, Tiya, by her, Yukta, joined, Pavisha, having entered, his, Mahindra, whom, Mani, with gems, Stambha, column, Sakta, hundreds, Upatam, having, Mahindra, of great Indra, the king of heaven, Bhavan, the palace, Yakta, like, translation. With pleasure, he took his wife with him and entered his house, where there were hundreds of gems stood in pillars, just in a palace. Okay, that one is missing. Just like in the palace of Lord Indra. Can we repeat it together? With pleasure. He took his wife with him and entered his home, his house, where there were hundreds of gems stood in pillars, just in like palace of Lord Indra. Okay, so I'm missing here. So we'll look at the BBT purport. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur commented that Sudama was simply astonished at the sight of his wife, as he wondered, who is this demigod's wife who has approached such a fallen soul as me? The maid servant informed him, this is indeed your wife. At that very moment, Sudama's body became young and beautiful, bedecked in fine clothing and jewelry. The word pitaha here indicates that this change gave him considerable pleasure. The famous thousand name of Vishnu, hymn of the Mahabharata, immortalized Sudama's sudden opulence in the following phrase: Sridam Ranka Bhaktya Bhum Anantrinda Bhavha. Lord Vishnu is also known as he who brought Lord Indra's or Indra's opulence to this earth for the benefit of his pitiful devotee, Sridam Sudama. Hare Krishna. So the purport again. With pleasure, he took his wife with him and entered his home, where there were hundreds of gems student pillars, just as in the palace of Lord Indra. So this is what we call Krishna's magic. What we have now is the return, right? Most of the devotees who have been following this chapter. So Dhamma have gone and he's back. Now he's not having experience. He's having experience of Krishna's reciprocation. But one will wonder, is this really something that has created a lot of commentaries. In this chapter, we have been seeing series of commentaries because there are so many wonderful things. So before we go back to this sloka again, I want us to quickly look at Krishna's transcendental qualities. After studying so many different scriptures, Srila Rupa Goswami has assembled a number of Krishna's qualities. We may not be able to dive into all the difference, but just to bring us some areas that relate, or the quality that relates with this particular pastime of Sudama. Then we deliberate a little on it. Then we take it further than that. So here, the first quality we mention here is truth. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna, 9:30, Kunteya Prachijan, declare it boldly that my devotee will not perish. Right? So here, what we have here is that truth not being manifest. Is the truth not manifested? Yes, it was manifested. When Sudama met Krishna, Krishna did not say, I did not know you. He didn't say, I didn't know you. We are not friends. Like we see in the case of, what's his name again? Dronacharya. And what's that king's name? Draupadi. They have studied together. Perhaps Dronacharya has given a lot of assistance to Draupadi. And Draupadi assured him that there is a promise that in the future I will be a king. And because the way you have related with me, I'm going to reciprocate so nicely with you that you be unable to comprehend the kind of magnanimity I am. So this was a kind of encouragement. You know, politicians, they have this kind of two sides of life. So when the time actually comes, it was actually, bedecked with a kingdom, a very big kingdom. But Dronacharya was very wretched. So one time he thought of himself, why not me go and see my friend, Draupadi, who has promised me some time ago when we were both in Gurukul, that at a point like this, if you meet me, I will reward you, or I will, recognize you, so that you can be uplifted. So when Dronacharya met with Draupadi, he tried to explain their pastime in Gurukul. He could not even listen. His reciprocation with rich and rich flow together. Poor and poor flow together. There is nothing like rich and poor flowing together. And so if I have said that in those days of our Gurukul, it was like a slip of tongue. And this actually triggers. It triggers, Dronacharya. And we know what happens after that. In fact, that is the era of mafia. What did he do? After training the Pandavas, he told them, they asked, oh, teacher, how can we reimburse? How can we reciprocate? How can we give Guru Dakshan? He said, yes. I have one enemy. Go and kidnap that person. We know that. So what we are putting across here is that Krishna sticks to his truth, that my devotee will never perish. And when Sudama meets with Krishna, that reciprocation was exhibited. So we have another one. We see this also, this particular quality, talking pleasantly. What was their conversation? Was it not very pleasant? You remember this? You remember this? The conversation was very pleasant. So these are Krishna qualities that Rupa Goswami has, enumerated. So we take another one again. Grateful. Krishna was very grateful. to the extent that we heard from Mother Devasakti the other day, he allowed Sudama to sit in the bed which, himself and, Rukmini share. So what was that? That was extreme playful quality. So we have, again, equilibrium, processing equilibrium. So this idea of Krishna is not impartial. It shows in this particular text of Sudama and Krishna. It was very equilibrium. There wasn't like, I'm rich and you are poor. He maintained that state of equilibrium. So we have a few of them all. Krishna was very compassionate, extremely compassionate. Very respectful also. We hear from Gauranga Daksha the last time that there are some rare things that people cannot do. And we see Krishna exemplifying this. What was that? Krishna, he said, according to him, quote, Krishna bathed his lotus feet. He bathed Sudama's lotus feet with his tears. Who can do that? We can respect visitors, just like the Arofizin of the Vedas. Atato Brahma, is that no? Yet there's, that the guest is your Lord. What is that? Atiti Devo Baba, the guest is your Lord. So we see, even though this Arofism is there in the Vedas, generally people do not bathe their guests with their tears. But we see Krishna exemplify something extraordinary. So what does this thing show to us? It shows that this quality, if we happen to take cognizance of them, yes, our life is a very successful one. Then what is it? Magnanimous. Krishna was extremely magnanimous. We can see what we are reading today, this sloka we are, is Krishna's magnanimous towards, Sudama. Religious. He shows all the religious, what is expected for a guest and a receiver. Well-wisher of devotees. Krishna is always the well-wisher of all devotees, especially those who are his bhakta. Krishna is the well-wisher of everyone. But the bhakta gets more of his attention. Then, controlled by love, which we have heard several times from different speakers, Bhakta Vasala. Krishna was extremely controlled by love of Sudama. All cognizance. Krishna knows the purpose of Sudama, but he never discloses it, because he knows, apart from being, personal, even physically, subtly, as Parahatma, he knows what is in the hearts of everyone. Possessing mystic. The experience today is, the sloka today is Krishna's mystic, Possessing all mystic perfection. So here, I will want to draw our attention again to the sloka that we just read, which is 28. In the sloka, there is a word there, right? Dinabandhu. There's a word there, yuktaha. The word yuktaha also signifies yukta varagya. The point here, even though Sudama has come to, Krishna has bestowed these blessings or this wonderful benediction upon Sudama, he was not carried away. He just like as it was, it utilized it as it's Krishna's centered world. There is something that attracts my attention to that word, yukta vairagya. You see, in Krishna book, the story of Nalakuvera and Manigriva. When Narada Muni come across these two sons of Kuvera, they were exposed. And the young ladies were, attentive to know that a sadhu was coming. And Narada Muni think that there is something I can benefit these people. Before he deliberates on the benefit he wants to give to them, he said, he first of all said, a person in the material world, when he's gifted, when he's favored with opulence and riches, then his life becomes centered on three things: intoxication, sex, and gambling. But in the case of Sudam, that was not the result. Instead, he went back to the life, using everything as Krishna's service. That is the point here. Yukta vairagya. So, one question that will arise now. This particular episode of Sudama Brahmana, does it really has a connection with Srila Prabhupada's Leela? Is there anyone who can reflect? Does it really has a connection with Srila Prabhupada's Leela or Srila Prabhupada's experience? Because when people ask, what is pure devotional service? Or what does pure devotional service give? We don't need to stress ourselves. We can only encourage them to go and read Sudama's Leela. Sudama's Leela incubates what pure devotional service ought to be. Or what pure devotional service can give. The whole of this Leela is all about what pure devotional service is all about. So the question again, do we really have any experience of how this particular Leela resonates with Srila Prabhupada's experience? Anybody have something to share? Resonate, we connect it with Srila Prabhupada's experience. Consolation or things like that. Yeah, I can raise the motion. When Srila Prabhupada went to this West, what was his intention? He's a spiritual master. So we can also see from this life, Sudama's wife was like a spiritual master to Sudam. Just like we see in the Naga Patnis, they are becoming spiritual master to Kaliya. They are telling Krishna, this particular person, this particular treatment you are giving him is not bad. It's your mercy towards him. So in this text, we see he wants to carry out the instruction of, his spiritual master. But when he arrived in the Western world, what experience? Just like we see Sudama returning home, there was so much consolation. He had so much consolation. Srila Prabhupada also had such consolation. His consolation was, he said, this is in 1965. He said, my dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like with me. There was enthusiasm, but when he arrived there was a different experience. He went home. Most of this population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of Vasudeva. I do not know how they will be able to understand. Srila Prabhupada is consoling, is supplicating. Just like we see Sudama returning, he was consoling himself with different interactions it has with Krishna. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I am very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so that I can convince them, for I am powerless to do so on my own. Somehow or other, O Lord, you have brought me here to speak about you. Now, my Lord, it is up to you to make me a success or as you like. O Lord, I am just like a puppet in your hands. So if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord, make me dance as you like. Did the Lord not make Srila Prabhupada dance? Did the Lord not make Srila Prabhupada dance? The first Ratha Yatra in the West, we heard from Shutrakriti Prabhu. Prabhupada was dancing, and the police, the traffic warden keep asking, tell him to sit, but no. Srila Prabhupada was dancing. But when the Lord actually made Srila Prabhupada dance and benedict all that we are experiencing today, Prabhupada was not carried away. He understands that there is a need of that word, yukta, vairagya, using everything for the service of Krishna. So I want to reverse again Gauranga Darshan's words. He left his audience the other day with 2 words. And if we are very, if we internalize most of what we hear, I'm very sure what he said will still reflect in our minds. He said 2 things. In bhakti, sometimes there is challenge. But at the same time, we should not give up the association of sadhus. And it draws a scenario of Sudama and Krishna holding things. What does it mean to us? There are so many challenges of today. There are many challenges here and there. Environmental challenges, what we call karmic challenges. So there is a need for us to oftentimes internalize what we hear. Because the more we internalize what we hear, the more we see that everything we do within the day, they are all Krishna conscious. But if we don't internalize what we hear, oftentimes what we do within the day, it will be mixed. Oftentimes, what we do within the day, if you analyze it, maybe 5% is only Krishna conscious. Every other thing is different. So, but if we internalize what we hear, especially katha like this, in katha, Srimad Bhagavatam, we internalize them, it will be very easier to have a blissful day. Because Though this process is designed to nullify karma, but sometimes karma comes up in a different dimension. And the environment today is so much full with so much things that will, distract our attention. But internalizing what we hear helps us maintain a balance of Krishna consciousness throughout the day. So how do we internalize this? Srila Prabhupada emphasized particularly on 4 principles, which is like a slogan. When we hear, we internalize it, it will be very easier for us to share what we internalize. Sharing actually deals with utilization, utility. Because when we hear something, we internalize it, the possibility will be there on how to share in our own different capacity. And that falls under, utilization, utility. There's a need, oftentimes, to read and distribute the book. Srila Prabhupada said, preaching is the essence. If we don't preach, then we are doing injustice to ourselves and to others. Books are the basis. We have a lot of books. Let's take advantage of these books, read them, cultivate a different dimension on how these books can be distributed. Utility is the principles. As we do this, we don't only grow. We give light to people outside. The same light returns to us in a mindfold. Therefore, these 4 basic principles, they are very important, that oftentimes we should always reflect on it. The first is that books are the basis. Preaching is the essence. Utility is the principles. The last one? Purity is the force. So our purity begins right from in the morning. You see? In the morning has so much spiritual potence for those devotees who are taking advantage of it. We stand before Srila Prabhupada, hearing those songs, they have so much purification in our life. And that gives us a holistic beauty of the day. So the purity of our movement begins in the morning. Oftentimes, we are all encouraged to not be, give room for karma to take that moment of purity away from us. Because in the morning, that purity is very important. We'll attend the Magharati like this. It gives us a lot of purification to manage the day. Very, very important. So, we often say that what is difficult in achieving all these things, if the mind is in control. And what helps us to control the mind is the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. There is no way we can overemphasize the importance of this Maha Mantra. This Maha Mantra, it works effectively with the mind. And if you want to really see how disturbing is the mind, when you wake up in the morning, just try to listen to what the mind says. He tells you, sleep little, there is still time. He gives you so many pictures just to deprive you of the morning purity. So our duty is to remember that Srila Prabhupada is waiting for us, or is calling us, or Srila Prabhupada wants to see us in Maragarati. Once you have this kind of mindset, the mind will has no hindrance in disturbing you from not attending the Magarati. The Magarati is a very dynamic medium for us to maintain equilibrium, a absolute balance of the day. Otherwise, it will be in between. The mind is saying something here and we are doing something here. But when we attend that Magarati, we do the japa, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, my position today is very simple. It appears to be personal applications. It is important that of what we hear, we should see how we put them into practice. Like I mentioned before, the implication of not putting things into practice is very raw. Because a lot of people have studied different things. And when we come across these people who have studied different things and what we hear, we don't internalize them, we can be lured. I see so many devotees, sometimes we discuss, and I see their experience. We can be lured. So let us internalize what we hear, put them into practice, then we are secure. Because Srila Prabhupada has given us this home. And we have to do what is essential, what is needful for us to maintain the purity of this house, the purity of this home. So, I will leave time before summary for if there is questions, reflection, critics, whatever you have. Comments, questions, reflection? Yes, I think so. Your question? Okay.
How does soul leave body? How does soul leave body?
How does soul leave body? So Prabhuji is asking, how does the soul leave the body? It's a very practical one, because how the soul leave body, it all depends on what we do at the present moment. A practical example is what we see in the life of Jada Bharat. You know Jada Bharat in Srimad Bhagavatam, who has abandoned his kingdom just to practice spiritual life. And when he was practicing, he came across a scenario that takes his attention. A scenario of a deer and a lion. So somehow, the lion could not kill the deer, which was pregnant, and the deer gave birth. Jada Bharat take the baby of a deer, of the deer that was giving birth to, and he began to nurture that baby. So, somebody who have abandoned, a huge kingdom just to practice Krishna consciousness, become attached to idea. Because what we are attached to, and that has, a lot of implications when we are leaving the body. Just like Bhagavad Gita said. He said, whatever we remember at the time of leaving this body, that is what we take. And how we leave the body determines what we do now. If you have a good, a good grade, you can leave the school when due. But if you don't have a good grade, you might not be able to leave the school when due. So the point here, how we leave the body determines what we do now. If we are connected fully with Krishna conscious activities, then that gives us a better prospect in leaving the body. When we are leaving the body, we remember Krishna. And that is very nice. Because Jadabharat leave the body remembering, deer, he take the body of a deer. And he was to come back again. But we don't want that experience. Because we have this body as a result of this attachment to things of the senses. Now that we have gotten this body that is very rare, let's take proper advantage of what the Acharya Srila Prabhupada has given to us. Because when we take advantage of it properly, we may not take this body. What is wonderful about this body? There is nothing wonderful about this body. It's all full with worm, stool, blood. What is wonderful? So, but let us fix ourselves properly in Krishna consciousness so that we don't take this body again. Okay? So how we leave the body is determined by our karma. And if we don't do what we need to do, especially practicing, spiritual life, we may have to take another body. And that creates a lot of obstacles on our spiritual progress.
Okay. One more question I
Okay.
have. Like if somebody is remembering a devotee at that time, then?
It's not hearing.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, yes.
If somebody is remembering the devotee at that time, then what will happen in the next birth?
Pardon?
Somebody is remembering the devotee at that time.
Yes.
Then next birth what will be?
Yes, if one remembers spiritual master, that is the reason why it is important as we progress, we should take spiritual masters, we should take Disha. Because when we remember spiritual master, at that critical point, we have Sikha because of that purpose. The spiritual master bail us out from whatever situation that may be before us. So it's very important that when we practice, honestly, we take Disha. Then we become more protected, connected with the Paramparam. Yes, Prabhu has a question.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Baba.
So like Lord Krishna said, Jassava manogrihani harisata dhanam shanai.
Yes.
Similarly, Lord Chaitanya also said,
Yes.
Amai bhoje bishoy mage obaro murk, ami biggo bishoy keno debo, sho charanam riddhiye bishoy bhulaibo. That means someone worshipping me or asking for the material opulence. But I know what is good and bad for him. I am not giving him material opulence. I give him my lotus feet and make him forget to the material opulence.
Okay.
But here we can see, this is a little bit controversy.
Yeah.
We can see Krishna is giving lot of opulence. Like you give the example, Krishna gave to Prabhupada also lots. So if you can little more elaborate on that.
Okay.
See.
Very nice. So Prabhu wants to hear more elaborate. Yes, wants to hear more elaborate on Krishna giving Sudama. Krishna gives to Sudama because he knows that Sudama will not be carried away by what Narada Muni says. The men of this world will then become fortunate to acquire all kinds of riches. They will be lured by three things, Narada Muni said: intoxication, sex, and gambling. But when Krishna bestowed this benediction, these blessings upon Sudama, it was not that's what we have, yuktaha. He used it for Krishna's pleasure. It's like we had one time, Sashananda Swami, he said about Srila Gopa Krishna. Though he has created a lot, he has built so many temples. But he said, Sashananda Swami said in the class that Maharaj was just sleeping in a simple way. A similar experience Sudama is, presenting before us. It's not that because the Lord has given him this palatial building, then now it's time to enjoy. He still maintain that I'm Das. I'm Sa Das. And the duty of a Das is to make the Lord enjoy. This is what we should always have in mind. Our duty as Das is to satisfy or to please the Lord. Because when the Lord is pleased, then we become happy. So, some reflection, we still have a few minutes there. So please give the Mahatma Prabhu for some comments. You have a comment? So any comment or reflection before we wind up the day? Mataji has any comments? Yes. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki. Nitai go premanande. Hare Krishna.